Next on Imágenes, parenting skills that can save your child's life. If you want to be a better parent, this is the program to watch. Saludos, I'm Miguel Perez. In this world of mass communications, ultra-modern technology, and roller coaster economies, the most important people in our lives, children, are often taken for granted. Working parents, teen parents, single parents are forming the reality of today's society. Unfortunately, parenting skills are taking a back seat to the pressures of daily life. For that reason, we want to bring you back to the basics of childcare with sound advice from people like Gloria Stefan and our first presenter, Felicia Rashad.
Good health starts very early in life, even before birth, in the mother's womb. The cord is really like a direct feeding tube from mom to baby. What she eats and drinks feeds her growing baby as well. That's why a mom's healthy diet during pregnancy gives her child a head start on good health. And that's why you should never smoke, use drugs, or drink alcohol during pregnancy. Smoking and alcohol use can result in very low birth weight for your baby, putting her health at risk right from the beginning. So take care of yourself, and you'll be taking care of your baby.
Good-sized child, those little cheeks.
I'm sure you're feeling the baby kick. It's a very good indicator of a healthy baby.
The video you just watched sets the foundation for an outstanding grassroots movement to educate parents. And here to tell us about it is Maria Vizcarrondo de Soto, the CEO and president of the United Way of Essex and West Hudson. And Henry Acosta is the assistant director of child care operations for Babyland Family Services in Newark. Maria, you've had this vision of trying to develop some kind of program to help educate parents a little better about childcare. And you're now involved with something called Success by Six.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
Let me, first of all, thank you for having us today and have a chance to talk about this very important subject of children and focusing on children's needs from the time they're born till they start school, which are the real formative years where all of the important developments take place. Success by Six is an initiative that was started at the national level by United Way, but the initiative also sort of develops or takes its life and form depending on the needs of the community. And my vision was to create a Success by Six collaboration program, and that's what it is in our community in Essex County. It's an opportunity to bring service providers, experts in the field of early child development, advocates for children, and funders together to collectively develop a strategy in the community to ensure that there's a systematic way to address the needs of children through prenatal care all the way until they're 6 years old, so that they're ready to learn because they're healthy, because their environment is one that's supportive and nurturing, and because we've helped to enable their parents to be the most enabling individuals in their lives. And where other programs may focus on just the health needs of children, we felt that the centerpiece of what we do, while we create a variety of services that deal with healthcare and all that, is to really focus on the importance of empowering parents to be educated, to know the things that they need to do to better address the needs of their children.
And where does that title come from? Success by Six?
Success by Six was...
Who are the six?
Actually, Success by Six, what we mean is that we're going to put a particular focus on the needs of children from the time they're born up to the age of 6. So the Success by Six come that by the time they're 6, they're successful, they're ready to learn, they're healthy, and ready to take on the challenges of being a student and moving on in the life cycle of becoming educated and becoming adults in the future.
And you have some very powerful partners in this effort.
Absolutely.
The Association for Children, the I Am Your Child Foundation,
Absolutely.
Which is led by Rob Reiner of All in the Family fame.
Yes, and what happened with that was very interesting, that we have developed, people are recognizing the good work that we're doing in Essex County with this collaboration, because it brings together all the community assets and partners. And I know you're going to be talking to Henry here in a minute, who is one of our partners in this process. But the reason Rob Weiner got involved was that he heard what we were doing in Essex County, And he's had a concern for a very long time about Newark being a community where we're still 49th in the country as far as immunization for children, where we have still a very high infant mortality rate. We're very much like a third world country in many ways, and that we were really working with this initiative to turn around a lot of those situations. So he created, with his I Am Your Child Foundation, which focuses, and many of the tapes that you'll see today is the creation of that foundation, is to create vehicles that would help educate parents on the development of their child. So it was it's a great partnership or marriage, if you will, in bringing more resources to the efforts of this collaboration.
Henry Acosta, welcome to the program. Welcome. You come from a very modest or maybe poor neighborhood in Newark. That's where your program is based. How do you go about helping Latino parents there?
Well, we go about helping Latino parents in many ways. Our program provides services in 4 core areas: quality childcare, prenatal and health-related services, community advocacy, parent leadership, and case management and intensive home visitation. We target our services based on the needs of our population by doing a comprehensive needs assessment. Our program provides services such as parenting education workshops in both English and in Spanish. We provide classes in ESL. We have realized the importance of not only that our parents and the teachers at the child care centers are a very important piece in bringing up our children at this age, and we look at providing professional development opportunities for those caregivers at those child care centers so that they can enhance their knowledge of quality early childhood education.
Well, let's continue to give some advice to our viewers at home with this segment presented by Gloria Estefan.
Infant car seats must always be placed facing backwards in the back seat, which is where all kids should ride.
The recommended age currently for turning a child from rear-facing to forward-facing is that the child must be 20 pounds and 1 year of age before you turn them around and face them forward. And that really has to do with the ability of the child to handle the impact of a forward-facing crash in the design of the seat. Children are projectiles, and even in a low-speed crash, a child will fly forward and hit the dashboard or even go out of the car. And what the studies show is that 85% of car seats are used incorrectly. So parents need to be aware of some of the common mistakes that they make when they install a car seat. Some of the very basic things, such as the straps need to be tight and the seat needs to be buckled in tightly into the car. I think the rule of thumb that we recommend is that there be very little movement in the car seat, either from side to side or from front to back. It's very, very important to keep children buckled up in child safety seats.
First car ride, huh?
Now we're home. Yeah.
Once your baby's home, there are a lot of things you've got to think about to keep your child safe. Things you might not have ever thought of, like feeding.
You ready?
Breastfeeding is the best way to go for your baby. It gives her all the nutrition and protection from diseases she needs. And it's also the safest.
That's a good girl.
When you attended the
Just make sure your newborn's nose doesn't get blocked while he's feeding. With formula, there are a few more things to consider. First, always check the expiration date on the formula you're using. Formula can spoil. Then, clean the container thoroughly with hot water before opening. And always wash the can opener after each use. Heat the bottle by running hot water over it until it's about body temperature. Test it by shaking a few drops on your inner wrist. Never heat the formula in the microwave. And don't reuse leftover formula. It's a breeding ground for germs. Newborns sleep a lot, up to 20 hours a day, and you have to make sure your baby's sleeping area is safe. The bars on the crib should be narrow enough so your child can't ever stick her head through and get caught. For the first 6 months, infants should never have pillows, blankets, or stuffed animals in the crib. They can suffocate a child. Among children under a year, suffocation is the leading cause of accidental death. Instead of using blankets, dress your baby warmly and put her on a mattress with clean sheets. And always put her to sleep on her back. It's been proven that babies who sleep on their backs have less chance of problems like sudden infant death syndrome. By the way, when your baby gets older and can stand in the crib, make sure there isn't anything dangerous right next to it, like lamps or window shade cords. Later on, if you put your baby in a playpen, follow the same guidelines you do with the crib.
Come on, let's go in Naya's room.
Be careful with pets. Never leave them alone with your new baby.
Good puppy.
And later, even if the child and pet have been okay together, always keep an eye on things.
Wow. Can you sit down? Good girl.
As your baby grows, so do her abilities to explore her world. She soon begins to sit up, reach out, and grab what she's after. And absolutely everything ends up in his mouth. This is the time when choking first becomes an issue.
Children can choke on two kinds of objects, toys and food. And when I say toys, I include any object the child can get their hand on. Toys are made safe by making them so big the child can't get them in their mouth. You need to evaluate toys very carefully as a parent because the overall toy may be safe, but parts that come off of it may not be. Balloons are extraordinarily dangerous. They cause about 1/3 of all choking fatalities. Balloons cause choking fatalities up to about the age of 8.
If you do see your baby choking, you've got to act fast. Here's what to do.
To tell if a baby's choking, you need to, one, look at the skin color. A baby will turn blue when it's not getting the oxygen. That's called cyanosis. Another way is a baby won't make any sound. We usually grab the baby by the ankles, slide a hand in underneath the baby so you're supporting the baby's head. Pick up the baby. You want to make a V with your thumb and your forefinger. Grab the baby's jaw, make a sandwich out of the baby, turn the baby over, bring your forearm down to your thigh, and it's 5 back blows between the baby's shoulder blades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you want to support the baby's head, again over onto the other thigh, and we draw a straight line between the nipples. The ring finger goes on that line in the middle of the chest, 2 fingers in line behind the ring finger. You want to pick up the ring finger, and we're going to do 5 chest thrusts about 1 inch deep. Then you want to support the baby's head, again with your thumb and your forefinger. When you hear the baby start to cry, that's an indication that the baby's airway has been cleared. Once the airway is cleared on a baby, it's very important that the baby be checked by a physician. The universal sign for choking is the hands to the throat, the way Santa has here. Another way you can tell if a child is choking is a child may not be able to cough, child may not be able to speak. You may get a change in color of the skin. What we want to do is come around behind the child, kneel down to the same height as the child, come around, find the child's navel, make a fist with the other hand, comes right above the belly button, grab the fist, and we're going to do a swooping motion. You come in and then up. And what we're trying to do is force the air in the child's lungs up the airway so we can force that object out of the airway.
Do you use these videos when you're training parents, videos like this, in terms of, training them on how to deal with children in case of an emergency? In the Latino community, my personal experience is that parents don't know what to do when a child is choking. Yeah. They just don't know what to do.
Well, we offer several ways of teaching the parents the proper techniques. The videos are available to the parents for them to take home in English and in Spanish, which is a great tool for them to have. We also offer parenting education classes to the parents on various different topics, and those are offered also in Spanish and in English. And at those workshops, obviously, there's food and childcare provided for the parents and transportation to the workshops.
Maria, what are some of the problems like this that are typical, or maybe more typical of the Latino community in terms of not having the knowledge of the information that is available to them out there?
Well, that's why this initiative is very, very critical to us. And I do want to also take the opportunity to say that this would not have been possible to be able to really operate this vision that we had for a Success by Six program without the very generous support of Prudential Foundation, which has really come to the forefront in helping to make this available, as well as a group of very dynamic women who were volunteering to create a fundraising opportunities to kick off Success by Six, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them. The group is known as the Women in Support of United Way, and they've done an extraordinary job of raising almost $500,000 over the last 2 years for this initiative, because they truly believe that we have to address the needs of children. But getting back to your point, there's a variety of things that make it very difficult or challenging to work with parents, especially in the inner cities, and it's cultural understandings about how you raise your children, which in this environment may be difficult. I'm glad they were able to put the excerpts of the variety of tapes. They run much longer, but one of the other things that we deal with is the whole issue of discipline of the child. And many of us were raised that, you know, little hit on the fondillito was okay. Yeah. And today you have to learn that with issues of children's rights and legal issues involved, that you have to find other ways to discipline your child. And especially, we live in a market.
So a little hit on the fondillito is not good anymore? Or?
Well, you got to be careful.
Okay.
The real issue is, are you doing it out of frustration? When you tend to do it out of frustration, there tends to be more damage to the child than just a slight recognition of what the situation is. So there's a lot of work done, because we're working in a community where there's a lot of single parents, families who are struggling to make ends meet every day, and oftentimes that frustration translates itself when they come to the family, to the homestead. And so we're using a lot of the videos and approaches and workshops to help find ways to diffuse that. One of the things that our partners do is develop programs that allow parent support groups, parents to be able to talk about their frustrations, and get trained in a variety of areas.
There's another area that I want to deal with here, because it's very important also, and that is that there's a lot of parents who know how to watch their child at home, but when they go out and they visit other people, they forget that danger awaits there.
Exactly.
Let's watch this.
As your child is learning to walk, it's tempting to get them a walker, but please don't. They've been proven to be very dangerous. Babies can tip them over and break an arm or hurt their head. Other things to watch out for at this age: hot radiators or floor grills, which can burn little hands. Make sure they're covered. And house plants they can get into and eat. Some plants are poisonous, so keep them off the floor. Find out the number for your poison control center and put it next to your phones. As your baby gets even more mobile and begins to be able to climb, make another tour of the house. Look at the windows. Make sure they're closed so she can't fall out. Don't put chairs or couches he can climb on next to the windows. Especially if you're living in a high-rise, window guards are a good idea. They may even be required by law in your city. You should also pay attention to safety hazards in the bathroom. Kids are fascinated by the toilet. Make sure you keep the lid down and locked if possible. It's so easy for them to fall in and drown. Buckets of cleaning water are often overlooked, but kids can fall, get their heads stuck, and drown. Store buckets empty and upside down. And don't forget to be aware of your pet's water bowl, which can also be a hazard to your child. And keep the bathtub drained. Even the smallest amount of water is a drowning hazard. If you can, install a soft spout cover for the bathtub to avoid bumps, bruises, and burns. Keep electrical cords and appliances like hair dryers unplugged and put away. The typical bathroom cabinet is one of the most tempting places for children. They can climb from the toilet or a stool onto the sink and into real trouble. Dinner hour is the time most accidents happen, and no wonder. Look at all the dangers there are. Knives kids can cut themselves on if they're left at the counter's edge, pots of boiling liquid, and frying pans. All of these are so tempting to a toddler and have to be put out of reach, so always keep the handles pointed toward the back of the stove. Electric appliances should be unplugged or stored. Cleaning supplies should be stored in cabinets with child-proof latches. fact, all kitchen and other cabinets should have latches. They even make simple ones for refrigerators.
Toast out. 1 minute, sweetie.
Don't let little ones play on the floor when you're cooking. You could spill something hot on them. Put your child in a high chair or playpen instead, and talk to her while you're cooking. If something does happen, be prepared by having all emergency numbers right by the phone for poison control, your doctor, and of course, there's 911. And know what you can do yourself. For example, for a minor burn, apply a wet washcloth or run cold water on it. Don't ever use butter or ice on a burn. Cool water is best.
I want to get back to the point we were left off when we went to this tape, and that is that parents visit other people, take their children along, forget that the safeguards that they've built in their own home are not there because perhaps the people that they're visiting do not have children, are not worried about those things. Exactly. Is that happening a lot? I hear, you know, normally when you hear about a child getting shot, it's a child who's visiting somebody where there was a gun that was exposed.
Exactly.
Well, that's a serious issue with gun safety. I'm a very big advocate on gun safety issue for trigger locks for children. I think people do need to be educated on the importance of storing guns properly, as well as keeping the gun and the ammunition separate and out of the reach of children, because it is a very sad situation. In Newark, we did have a 6-year-old child who was shot and killed about 6 months ago, and it's a very tragic experience.
But what about other safety issues in general?
But I
when
think
you're visiting somebody?
Yeah, but part of the problem that we have to teach parents is we're trying to empower them to feel very comfortable setting parameters and boundaries when they go somewhere. Oftentimes, especially in our culture, it's always the thing about, well, you don't want to say anything because you're afraid to offend the host. It's their house, mi casa, blah, 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 this and that. And the thing is that we have to teach people to get a comfort level with saying, I'm the advocate for my child, and I have to make sure that there's safety parameters to anywhere that I go to, and feel comfortable to do that. And that happens with time as they become more educated and realize how critical this is. They become more comfortable with making those kinds of demands in anywhere that we've gone.
And certainly you can make that demand of your babysitter. Yes. If you're taking your child to your babysitter's home, you want to make sure you look around that house because, I mean, the child's going to spend a lot of time there.
Exactly. So that's part of learning to be an educated consumer.
Henry, I wanted to ask you something quickly because we want to go to another tape, but that is about how you use the parents as facilitators. I think that's important. They're teaching each other.
Yes, that's one of the biggest successes for our programs. What we recognized was that it's hard for someone to come in there with a shirt and tie and try to tell people how to be a parent, especially for the Latino community. They don't want a young person coming in there trying to tell them how to be a parent. So we recruit parents from our participating child care centers and schools, get them trained in a national model called Every Person Influences Children. They go through a 12-hour training at Prevent Child Abuse New Jersey, and then they go back to their child care center and do a series of workshops, of 8 workshops for the parents at that site. And the parents actually get to choose the 8 topics that they're interested in, and that has worked out wonderful because it builds a social support network for those parents at that location. And again, it's not someone telling them how to be a parent, it's sharing.
Here we have another video with more tips on childcare.
Let's go to Daddy. Very good, excellent.
If your child isn't walking or saying a few words by 18 months, be sure to alert the doctor.
Most of her nutrition right now should be coming from solids. It's okay to do a vitamin 1 dropper full a day, but the most important thing is the good nutrition. We need a variety of foods. We need all food groups.
What she eats is more important than how much. Try not to argue or bargain over food with your child.
Okay, that's it. You're done.
Toddlers will use meal times to show off. They're their own person and they want the world to know it. One way is to refuse food. So step back. Don't take it personally. It's just a rejection of some food, not you.
Come on. You don't want this either?
No one can force any kid to eat, and no healthy baby has ever starved itself to death.
Okay. Open up. No.
Actually, it's a proven fact that kids who decide how much or little they want eat more than children who are pressured.
That bacon is a problem, I see.
A lot of eating problems, even later in life, begin when the table becomes a battleground.
Do you want another little sip of milk, Missy?
Brooks, you can use your fork.
If a child starts playing with her food, she's probably letting you know eating time is over.
I see what you're trying to do.
There's a big world out there, and she's curious to move on to something even more fun.
Well, this has been wonderful video and great advice, and I thank you for bringing it in. Maria, we only have less than a minute. Tell us where people can reach your project, Success by 6.
Absolutely. The Success by 6 Collaborative. You can reach us through the United Way of Essex and West Hudson, and the number is 973-624-8300. We also have a website, which is www.uwewh, which is United Way Essex and West Hudson.org. And through the United Way, you can connect to the Success by 6 initiative, which includes Babyland Family Services. We also have as partners the Association for Children of New Jersey on advocacy.
I thank you very much for being here. I think we've made a contribution to the future, which is our children. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week on another edition of Imágenes. Hasta pronto.
How do you feel about the program you just saw? Call your comments into our audience response line at 609-777-0031 or email us at viewerservices@njn.pbs.org.